Yo, what's good, everybody? And thank you for tuning in to another Tyler Perry Sistas review. This is season 3, episode 14, entitled One Word Answers. If this is your first time coming to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning family member, you already know what it is and what it will always be. And y'all know how I do. We're going to get right into this thing. Now, let me just say, I like Peggy. I ain't got no beef with Peggy. Peggy cool. Peggy is like Peggy just have no idea what's going on right now. She's so innocent and bubbly. And just the fact that you're naked, just got done having sex with Calvin. And she's like, oh, you're Sabrina. I've heard so much about you. I said, Lord Jesus, this is the difference between black women and white women, because that would not have been our response. So when the show opens up, it picks up where it left off last week. And we see Sabrina and Maurice just looking. They have a state of shock. They just have a shocked look on their face about what they're seeing. This white naked girl and then Calvin nakedness coming out. So Peggy was talking and basically Maurice was like, you're all Becky's. And she was like, did I say something wrong? Like, no, but you're still a Becky. And so Sabrina was like, I'm gonna go. And Calvin was like, no, I can explain. So let me say this, because this was a huge thing across the social media platforms for Sistas. This is one of the topics or one of the scenes that was like really, really blown up and talked about. So a lot of people was coming for Sabrina, and y'all know I don't mind coming for Sabrina too, because I will come for her in this review. However, people was coming at Sabrina trying to figure out why was she upset? Why was she, had a little attitude? Why was she mad? And I'm like, I think the better question is, why did Calvin act like he was guilty of something? And I'm kind of jumping ahead too, but he felt like, we're not committed. I could do what I want to do, but you're the one who act like you got caught doing something that you weren't supposed to do. So I'm more interested in that dynamic, because if you was all, I do what I want to do, I sex who I want to sex, what was the reason you needed to explain anything to Sabrina? And so I can't say why Sabrina was mad, but I can say why I would be mad. One of the issues that I had with this whole thing is that on the previous episode, it was Calvin. It was Calvin who wanted Sabrina to agree that, yes, we're still going to see each other. And if at any time you or I decide to be with someone else or deal with someone else, we are going to inform the other person. Well, Calvin didn't do that. He didn't even honor his own agreement. So whether him and Sabrina are in a committed relationship or not, they made an agreement that Calvin did not follow. So that would be my reasoning. Even if he was just somebody I was, having sex with, I think just to see that, to know that me and you just had sex a few hours ago, and I'm seeing you after the fact that you've had sex with another woman and y'all naked and it seemed like y'all was having a really good time, I would feel a way. Not necessarily hurt feelings, but I would feel some way if I walked in on that. So basically, Peggy goes back into the room and Calvin is like, Sabrina, wait, I can explain this. He basically went to go put some clothes on, and Sabrina was like, I'm going to go. And she ended up leaving before Calvin came out to explain himself. Now, I also want to know, those who were saying, why Sabrina mad, blah, 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 blah. Where was this same energy when Calvin showed up to Sabrina's house for the umpteenth time unannounced and saw a naked Jacoby in the refrigerator? Now, let me pause. I don't know what it is about Tyler and having naked people in the refrigerator, but I'm a little concerned. Something is not right about that. This is the second time. The first was Jacoby naked ass standing in the refrigerator. Then it was Peggy and Calvin. I just don't know. I'm concerned about Tyler just a tad, because that is not normal, behavior. But anyway, I digress. I just thought it was funny. But my thinking is, where was all that energy with Calvin when he did that to Jacoby? He comes over to Sabrina's house, like I stated, unannounced. He opens her door, which what goes on behind this door ain't none of your business, because I'm not your woman. We're not committed. We're not in a relationship. Dude from the bank, like he all hurt. Mind you, Calvin had just had sex with Peggy the night before. And this is why I always state that I do not like Calvin. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't like Calvin because he comes off as sweet and all of that. But Calvin, to me, in my opinion, is one of the biggest hypocrites on this show. Because it's like, it's okay for him to sex who he want to sex because that's his business. But if he catches Sabrina in a compromising position, he can't take it, or he calls her out her name, or he makes a big deal out of it when it's none of your business. So that's my whole issue with Calvin and Will, So the girls are at Sabrina's house before she gets home, and they're basically talking about Sabrina like they always do. She got cheap. She never have nothing to drink, and when she does, it's cheap. It's not what they want. So here comes Danny to the rescue. She stole a couple of bottles of liquor from the airport like she's done before. I get so sick and tired of Andy and Karen's bougie ass attitude. First of all, you can literally gulp down that bottle in 3 seconds. You don't need a glass. So Karen hands Andy a glass, and then Karen takes a glass, and Andy was like, I wish it was a better glass, but this'll work. I was like, you bougie hoe, but next time you bring your own glass. You knew y'all was going to Sabrina's house. She ain't got good glasses. We already know this. So when Sabrina comes in, Sabrina has like an attitude or whatever. You could tell she's not in the best of spirits, which they were assuming came from the bank robbery, but they find out that it's about Calvin and the fact that they had just made up, and, she saw him with another woman and they were naked. Now, this is the issue I had with Sabrina. Sabrina said that, but Sabrina did not inform her girls that, yeah, we're working on us and we're doing whatever. However, we are not in a committed relationship. So in actuality, Calvin is free to be with who he wants to be with. She didn't say that, and I didn't like that. So they was going back and forth. Sabrina started drinking, and to get the light off of her, she talked about Karen and Aaron proposing to her. So Danny and Andy were shocked because they did not know, and she was like, I told him no. And so Sabrina was like, Andy, Karen, they talked about the check that Zach gave, and it was a lot of money, and you could tell some things in this scene was edited because certain things just did not make sense because they never stated how much money Zach gave Karen. But Andy was like, "Ooh, that's a lot of money." I'm like, well, hell, when did she say the amount? I'm lost right now. I be trying to give Tyler the benefit of the doubt. I really, really do. But then stuff like this happen. I'm like, these are my issues. So all that go on, they was like, Andy was like, "Are you feeling Zach? Are you doing this?" And for those who are part of my Patreon community family, and you listen to the bonus review that I did, I specifically talked about this, how these women are toxic as hell to one another as a sisterhood. Because I have never seen a group of women deflect so much on just anywhere, whether it's real, make believe, this, TV show land, whatever. And I'm like, this is why all of them are in toxic ass situations, because they never deal in truth, even with one another. How are you doing? I'm fine. I told you I'm fine. I'm all right. None of them are fine. None of them are all right. They are all broken individuals, which is why they give each other horrible ass advice. Every last one of them. So Calvin comes over, unannounced yet again. So he comes in. I did not like this part of their scene at all. Calvin did better than me, because I feel like none of them have the right to talk to this man how they talk to him. And it baffled me how Sabrina just stood there in silence with her arms crossed like somebody done stole her damn bike. Like, how the hell you letting these women talk to this man like this? Listen, with my friends, ever since I was a teenager, I have always been very selective about what I tell my friends and what I don't tell my friends, because whatever you tell them, they're going to remember. So if you said this man cheated on you, he did all of this stuff, and you take him back, sis, this who you going to be with? I know my friends would check me. Their friends don't check each other in that way. But it's just like, I didn't like that. I felt like a part of me wanted Calvin to disrespect them in the worst way. But then again, I wouldn't want him to do that. But I just think that the fact that he took all of that, and the fact the only thing he called them was mouthpieces, I think the brother did really great. Because I just couldn't, but I think Danny was like, "Yeah, bring your sweet ass in here." And she mentioned the panties, she mentioned the dildo, the vibrator. And I'm like, that is just, I didn't find Danny humorous in this moment. I'm like, y'all overstep y'all bounds when it comes to each other's relationships. And the fact that he tried to talk to Sabrina, and I think Andy was like, "Don't talk to her, you talk to us." I'm like, Trick, sit your ass down. I couldn't stand any of them in this moment. Any of them. Then Calvin says, after he makes his point, I'm going to see who I want to see and blah, blah, blah. And I'm cooking dinner at my house at 8 o'clock and I expect you to be there. I said, she's not coming, bro. And so the women was like, oh, Sabrina, I see why you like him. I was like, y'all got turned on by that? And then here come Andy trifling ass. I mean, I'll go to dinner with him. I'm just joking. I said, nah, Trick, you ain't joking. This is exactly how you roll. Sabrina, watch out. I know, I don't think Andy wouldn't mess with Calvin, but just her overall, like the way she carries herself, like Andy probably do some trifling mess like that for real. But I just felt Calvin in this moment. I didn't feel like he deserved that. I could not stand that scene. Couldn't stand it. So we gonna move along. He ended up leaving or whatever. So they was like, so Sabrina, you going to dinner? No, I'm not going to dinner. No. And so Danny gets a call from Preston. She's about to go. Andy was like, she's going to go talk to Gary. And then Karen says she's going to go home and call Zach and tell him to come over so they could talk. I said, no, why don't you tell your girls how Zach had your ass blocked and you had to call him from your salon. Even though he picked up, he had your ass blocked. You invited him to dinner and he turned your ass down. Why don't you tell them that? See? Oh, I'm getting in Karen's ass in this review. Anyway, so we get to Danny and Preston. Preston had me laughing the entire time. Don't get me wrong. The scene was funny. It was humorous, but it was a lot of stuff was just pointless. But I did understand where Preston was coming from because it's almost like you already know. Danny already knows what Preston wants from her. However, she has been unwilling to give that to him. So he comes over. He's very nonchalant, no emotion, no feeling, no nothing. He's very dry. And basically he tells her he just came over there to F. Like, this is what we do. This is what you say we have in common. Only thing we have in common, so let's get to it. You know what I'm saying? And so she was like, I don't like this, Preston. I don't like it, because he kept saying the F word. And so she was like, I don't like this, and, so on and so forth. So over time, they continue to talk about, like, just do things for them to get to know each other better. We could talk about my life growing up. You could talk about your childhood, and we could see, like, what commonalities that I'm just going to sum up all their stuff. Like, what commonalities that we do have to see exactly what we have in common and how we can build from that. And so we weren't able to hear what they discussed, but they did find some type of commonality. And so Danny was like, well, why don't you tell me about the cows and, all of that stuff like that. He was like, I don't want to talk about the cows. She was like, no, now I want to hear about the cows. So it was very interesting. And Preston, nothing he said makes sense. He said, I want you to put your wop in my mouth. Something, I don't know. Everything he was saying, it was so funny because, one, he's country. He has that country accent. And then, two, the stuff just didn't go together. But, we understood where he was trying to go with it. And so he told Danny, they were sitting on the floor, and she was just having a ball. She was laughing. And he was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make you love me. I said, okay, now pause. I didn't see nobody. They may be out there. I didn't read any comments that called Preston psychotic, that called Preston crazy. Because when Aaron, y'all know how Tyler loved recycling storylines and dialogue. Aaron basically said the exact same thing. He got a whole different response. And Preston said almost verbatim what Aaron said, and it was all cool. It was all hunky-dory. Ain't nobody blinking an eye. I said, ain't this the BS? So him and Danny started kissing or whatnot. And I think that's all that happened with them. They started kissing, and, I do actually like Preston and Danny together. I do enjoy their dynamic. But for whatever reason, I still feel like Danny is going to be close off to him in some way. And I hate the narrative, even though it does happen, that all these women kind of base their current situation off of their past. Karen, Sabrina, we know that Sabrina has been sexually abused. We don't know when it happened. Like with Calvin, we know it happened to him as a child. We don't know where in her lifespan that her sexual abuse happened. But I'm like, I really would love for Tyler to bring that out. Same with Andy. We know that Andy has been physically abused. We don't know if it started with the boyfriend in college or if it started when she was younger. But I would like to know. I would like for Tyler to bring these things out, because I'm like, you have all these great storylines that can be used to make these characters more well-rounded individuals. Yet you only stick on what's toxic and these boring, long, drawn out ass storylines that most of us don't even care about anymore. So Andy and Gary. So I'm so over them. Jesus Christ. You know, I'm just over them. I can't be more over them than I am already over them. So people don't get too excited. Some people got real excited. They thought this was us bidding adieu to the character of Gary. Hell no. Because Cheeto, who plays Gary, he filmed for season 4. They've already wrapped season 4. Season 4 is already done. And his ass was there. So Gary is not out the damn picture. Gary is like, I ain't gonna say that. Gary is like something that just won't go away no matter how much you wish for it to disappear, how much you hope that it's gone. He is still there. That's Gary all the way. He does not die. Baby's kids, they don't die, they multiply. And it seems like Gary's personality issues continue to multiply and we see him. But I ain't gonna lie. I was on Gary's side, and I'm gonna tell y'all why, but let's get to this scene. So when Andy walks in, she sees that Gary is sitting on the island or whatnot. And so they're talking about his therapist. Now, before we had the mid-season finale, Andy kicked Gary out of her house. So we were all a little perplexed that he was there and when they came back, and she never mentioned anything about like, you need to leave, nothing. So Gary stated that, he got him his own house. He was only going to be there for a few more days. First of all, you're not going to tell me that you got you a place, didn't tell me, and wasn't going to tell me, and you said that you're going to stay at my house for a few more days? Hell no, I don't think so. Give me your keys. Go get your shin and get the hell out of my house. Now, you ain't got to wait a few more days. Ain't no few more days. I'm like, Andy, but nevertheless, we know who we dealing with. So she was basically like, you wasn't going to tell me? Nope. And then he was like, you know what? My therapist said you would say something like that. Your therapist? Your therapist is a quack who doesn't know what she's talking about. And any therapist who has another woman in her bed wants to sleep with you, Gary. I said, Andy sounded like a damn fool in that entire scene. I said, first of all, this is what really baffles me when it comes to how if one thing just like irks my soul is when a writer forget their own shit. I'm sorry. As a writer myself, that is like, I cannot explain to you how hard it is for me to watch Sistas. I'm gonna do the reviews and stuff like that, but Sistas for me is a hard watch because I am so like keen on detail, especially when it comes to shows. Tyler writing is so bad. It is so bad. He's a better writer for film than he is for television. And he just disturbs my entire being. But I remember specifically before the mid-season finale, Gary told Andy that his therapist wanted to do something with the both of them and that she was coming over. Now, I'm under the impression that Andy thought that Gary was seeing like a normal therapist, not a sex therapist, not a sex counselor. But he never conveyed that. He never told her this. So my thing would have been, damn it, Gary, you know what kind of therapist that you're seeing. Why didn't you tell Andy this? And you and, I forget her name. What was it? Jacqueline. I think that was the therapist's name. She should have never started the exercise in Andy's house, in Andy's bed, without Andy being there. But he did tell Andy that the therapist was coming over. He just never told her what type of therapist it was. So she was like, I'm like, first of all, Jacqueline don't want to sleep with no darn Gary. If that was the case, she could have been done slept with him. I'm just like, Andy and Gary, I get so sick of them. Sometimes I don't even want to include them in the review because I don't even like talking about them. But that's what it was. So he was like, when I leave, I'm not coming back. I'm like, yes, you are. Yes, you are. You're coming back. We'll probably see you before the end of the rest of this season. You're going to be back at Andy's house. Maybe next time you'll be able to get it up. I don't care. Moving right along. Oh, but I want to Andy did say this. Andy said, I know a good therapist when I see one, Gary, and she's not it. I said, oh, sis, you know what a good therapist looks like? Then I'm going to need you to go get one because you need one badly. And it is long overdue for you to either be sitting or laying on someone's couch. Next, Zach and Fatima. Another scene, another scene of them preparing to have sex. You know, Fatima comes out in her blue little negligee. I ain't gonna lie, it was cute. It was cute. It was popping. It was popping. So Zach comes in with flowers, and Zach is basically telling her that he got the house and he was going to be moving soon, and he wanted Fatima to move in with him. He also stated that he has always been taken care of, and now he wants to take care of her. We all know Fatima is not moving in with Zach. Fatima is a very independent woman. Fatima is not all the way sold on Zach, which I think is foul because she's already committed to this man. And I think that she did it before she was actually ready to do it. And I think Zach is going to feel that in the end, however long Tyler decides to draw this particular thing out. And so we even see, like, in the next episode, she says something to him like, you think that, like, that's supposed to impress me? And then we see her kind of, like, walking away with Zach, like, looking at her while she walked, like, what the hell just happened? He didn't look too happy. But I think this is a setup for Zach and Karen to have some type of conversation in person, because we do know there is an episode coming up where Zach goes to Karen's shop and they're talking in the back room. So we'll see what happens with that. And that's really all that really happened with the scene with Zach and Fatima. Now in my mind, I'm thinking, I know how much money Zach was working with. So Zach has purchased, this home that was in foreclosure. And so the other part of it, he is going to be renting out. But we all saw the same thing. This house is not finished. So I'm like, did Zach, include this in the money he's going to have to spend? Because he has to fix this house up. That's it. So I'm like, I don't know if Zach thought about this, but hell, we'll find out. We'll see what happened. So Calvin and Maurice. So Calvin is in the kitchen. He's cooking. Maurice is very impressed by all this food that Calvin has out on the counter. And, he was cooking for Sabrina. Sabrina's coming over. And Maurice was like, Sabrina ain't coming over here. And in my mind, I said, Calvin, do you honestly think Sabrina is coming over here? No, the hell she's not. So we couldn't see what time it was, but Maurice was like, it's way past that. It is way past 8 o'clock. I just didn't understand how he come in there demanding her to do something and be somewhere. You're not my man, bro. I ain't my man. I ain't coming nowhere. And I done seen you come out your room naked. Miss me with that. But anyway, Calvin did cook it. It looked good. But so there was I think it was either a knock at the door or the doorbell. And so Calvin was really excited because he thought it was Fatima, and it was not. It was, white boy from the club. I don't know why I think he's so cute. I love his smile. Nevertheless, he comes over because he heard about what happened to Maurice and he wanted to make sure that he was okay. And he was like, we got to get you some Mexican. And Maurice was like, where he at? And he was like, the food. And so Maurice was like, okay, bet. Or we can stay here and eat the food that Calvin made for Sabrina, because she she ain't coming here. And so they went in the room for Maurice to get dressed and they were going to go. But I still think Calvin was hopeful that Sabrina was coming over. I guess we'll find out maybe next week if she does, which I highly doubt. So, excuse me. Karen and Aaron. Baby. Karen and Aaron. Okay, so Karen is at home. We see Karen on the phone and she's calling Zach. She's leaving Zach a voicemail, which lets us know that Zach has unblocked Karen. He shouldn't have done that. But anyway, he did. She's leaving a message letting him know that she wanted him to come over. Now, let's not get it mistaken. Karen called Zach to come over to have sex. Point blank, period. That's what she did. She got her candles burning. She got on her little F me dress that's easily able to be pulled up. I'm like, heifer, I know what you're doing. Oh, anyway, so there's a knock at the door. It's Aaron. She looked disappointed. She was not expecting Aaron to come. She thought it was going to be Zach. I was like, you got all the damn nerve. Zach is not coming over there. But before I go any further, this go back to Tyler. Bullshit. When she was with the girl, she kept asking Andy about what does she know about Zach and Fatima. Are they together? Like, what are they doing? I think that Danny asked, is Zach and Fatima together? I'm not understanding why Karen is so like gung ho on knowing if Fatima and Zach are together when Zach has already told her. When Zach came to give Karen that money, she asked him, she was like, "Where are you going?" And he was like, you don't want to know the answer to that. Like, you already know what the deal is. He already told you that Fatima showed him something different and he liked it and he's going after her with everything in him. That's what he told you, sis. You already know the deal. He ain't made contact with you. None of that. And Karen is not used to that because all her and Zach do is make up the breakup. That's all they do. That cycle. That's it. So I just had to mention that. That's just poor writing because Karen already knows. And we see in the preview for the upcoming episode, she's asking Andy, like, you know, what do Fatima talk about him? I'm like, nigga, now you got her acting obsessed, Tyler, really? But I knew Tyler was going to pull this BS out his ass when it came to Karen's character. So back at the scene with Karen and Aaron. So Aaron comes in, he's looking at, you know, Karen, he like what he see. And he was basically like, "You forgot." And she was like, "Oh, it's Wednesday." Because he bought Chinese food. He bought her favorite, whatever she eat from Chinese people. And so he was like, "You know, you pick the movie." And she was like, "Nah, you pick. Like, I really don't care or whatever." So he ends up picking some movie. And it was about this woman who was in love with two men. One was, I don't know what his profession was. The other one was the ex-con. So Karen was in her feelings because she was like, you know, "Did you want me to watch this on purpose?" And I'm like, Heffa, that's your guilt. That's your guilt eating away at you. Aaron was like, "Oh, like the movie got good reviews. Like, that's why I picked it." It wasn't like he brought a movie over. They was probably watching, you know, Netflix or something like that. So it wasn't something that he intentionally brought over for you to watch this because he told your ass to pick the movie, but you didn't care because you didn't want him there in the first place. Oh God, the B word is the B word is at the tip of my tongue that I want to call Karen, but I'm gonna try to keep this, you know, I don't want to say that word. But anyway, unstable creature. That's my new name for y'all. But anyway, so, you know, they're sitting on the couch or whatever, and Karen just was not into it. You know, I was like, her energy was off. And Aaron picked it up like, you know what I'm saying, well, like, you got some things you got to work out. And she was like, "And you don't?" Like, she got real defensive. And he was like, "You know, I'm sorry." No, you don't have nothing to be sorry about. So it looks like he was putting on his shoes so he can go. He was like, "I'm just gonna go then." And she was like, you know you're special. I said, wait, did she just son my dude? Did she just son Aaron right in that moment? Like, you know you're special. And I'm like, nah, Karen, I don't like you, sis. I don't like you right now. You still my dog. I don't like you right now. I don't know when I'm going to like you again, but I don't like you in this moment. I don't like you at this stage in your life. I'm willing to give grace to all my sisters, but I don't like Karen right now. But, so she kisses him goodnight, and then, you know, they start kissing, and, you know, I think he said something like, "God, you taste so good." And she was like, she said, "We should stop." And he was like, "No, I want to make love to you right now." And so she kind of, you know, put both of her hands on his shoulders. And so she was like, I don't want you to make love to me. I want you to F me. And she was like, "F me, please." I said, "Oh, okay then." So Aaron was like, "All right, I oblige that." So they, you know, getting into it on the couch or whatever. And this trick says, "Oh, Zach." I said, hell to the no. I said, Aaron, get your shit and get out. That was from Waiting to Exhale with Bernadine. I'm like, Aaron, put your shoes on, baby, grab your wallet and your keys and leave Karen the hell alone. There is no justification for that. There is nothing you can say in that moment. Like, for those of you also who are in my Patreon, when I did the bonus video, I talked about how I don't know what's keeping Aaron there. Like, what's keeping Aaron around Karen? Because for me, even though I like them together, Karen has never had the same energy when it comes to Aaron in which he has had of her. And I think that has been completely selfish. I think that Karen has used Aaron to her benefit, you know, where she's not lonely. You got this man here who adores you. And I think that's the thing that really pissed me off, because you could tell that this man just adores her. You know, he all through the night telling, you know, you look good, you know, you whatever. And I'm just like, he pays attention to detail, got you your favorite stuff. So this is not some dude who just want to get in your pants or whatever. This is someone who actually wants to spend the rest of his life with you. And I'm just like, nah, leave Karen alone. She want to get back with Zach. She want to try to, get that old thing back. She want to, try to see what's up or whatever. And I think the thing is, she's not being honest with Aaron. There's a difference in telling somebody, yeah, I still have love for my ex. I'm not in love with him. I don't want to be in love with him, because she said that. She was like, I do love Zach, but I'm not in love with him, and I don't want to be like I'm not in love with him. And she said that more than once. And I definitely beg to differ as to how Tyler is writing her character in this moment. So I'm like, no, sis, I don't like you right now. And I know in the preview they showed Aaron telling her that she needed to call Zach to tell him, how she felt, because he was like, what I gotta do to get him off your mind, and I'm just like, baby. First of all, Aaron is fine as hell to me, okay? Aaron is fine as hell. He's intelligent. He has money. He's doing his own thing right now. And I know that he and Karen have really never discussed his monetary status, but it seems as if, Aaron banking. Aaron has like bank for real. So I'm like, if you so intrigued with the money, I don't understand what it is with Zach. I really don't. And I guess we'll get more insight, on that. But everybody except Aaron and Maurice and Peggy could have got hands tonight. And Fatima and Zach. I didn't want to put no hands on them. But other than that, especially them sisters, I wanted to really put hands on them. Now I saved this for last. So there was a lot of comments and stuff or posts that was made about Andy stating that she is not Fatima's girl. She's her boss. And so many people were in a hoopla about it. They couldn't believe it. And I said, you know what? If for those who listen, faithfully, or those who come and listen to my reviews, I have stated so many times, I do not understand the reasoning that Fatima wants to be Andy's friend so badly. Andy's not even a friend to her damn real friends. And so when she made that statement, I wasn't shocked, because I talked about, someone sent me a question and I answered it during the review, and they were asking me, like, what do I think Andy is going to do when she is forced to choose between Fatima and Karen? And I said, there is no choice. Karen is the only choice. Karen is her sister. Fatima is not. And they go back to Fatima like being in the main cast. And I was like, this will never work. Fatima would never, ever be in their circle. Andy is a user. That's what Andy does. Whether it's men, she uses men for sexual gratification. She uses men for attention. And for the women, is what you can do for me. She didn't ask Karen, hey, can you go to my house and pick up me some clothes to wear? Just look at the things she's done to Fatima. Fatima is not your damn personal assistant. She has had Fatima go to her house, get her something to wear, make a reservation, then cancel it, reach out to her friends, schedule dinner, schedule lunch, cancel lunch, schedule it for dinner. When she was supposed to go out to lunch with Fatima, or go whatever she was supposed to go with Fatima, she canceled it because she was like, yeah, I'm meeting up with my girls. So with me, I know that Andy called Fatima her ride or die when they had the women's night. But I'm like, think about it. Andy is never going to choose anybody over Karen. Point blank, period. I got so many questions about, do I think that Andy was right for not telling Karen about Zach and Fatima? And I have like mixed feelings about it, because I do understand Andy's reasoning for not wanting to be put in the middle of this. Also, Karen is still your girl. And you know that if she's trying to call Zach, she's trying to do all these things, like, sis, you probably want to leave that situation alone. And that's all I'm going to say. To me, that's saying enough without really saying anything. You don't have to go into detail to say, hey, sis, when it comes to Zach, you might want to leave that alone. I'm not saying anything else. You're smart enough to read between the lines. That's how me and my friends do. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't dumb. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to leave it at that. You do with that information as you please. But just know that I told you to leave it alone. And we done. You know what I'm saying? So I just, I felt bad for Fatima in that moment, because that's not how Andy presented her to the girls. You know what I'm saying? And Fatima has been a friend to Andy. Andy has not been a friend to Fatima. And I hate that, but that is exactly who Andy is. So that was the review for Sistas season 3, episode 14. One word answers. And thank you everybody who reached out to me today, even the ones who was like, you a Karen fan, how you feel about Karen now? I said the same. Yeah, she thirsty as hell right now and desperate as hell right now, but that's still my dog. So I said, but you know what? I said, I know you as a Fatima fan. I said, so I'm going to come back and ask you the same question in about 2 weeks. And you tell me how you feeling about Fatima. Number one, I already see it happening. I already see it happening now about the what Tyler is going to do when it comes to adding some strain on their relationship. I really do. I think, because I think Zach said something like, I'm going to marry you one day. And Fatima was like, you don't think we moving too fast? I think that scared her because she's still fragile. She's still, sex with Karen and Zach is still pretty fresh. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I do wish that Fatima had someone in her corner for real as a friend, like a girlfriend, a sister. I really wish she had that because she's the only woman on the show who does not have that connection. And I really wish that she did have that. But that's all I got to say about that. So I'm going to holler at y'all later. And until next time, y'all be safe out there. One.